When Ethan proposed, I remember the exact moment, the trembling in his hands, the quiet hum of the city behind us, and the way time seemed to pause. It was everything I had dreamed of and more. I said yes before he even finished asking. The world felt suddenly aligned, as if every heartbreak and disappointment had led me right there, to him. Mia was the first person I called. She screamed so loudly I had to hold the phone away from my ear, and when she rushed over that night, she hugged me so tightly I could barely breathe. Tears streamed down her face, and she kept saying, "You finally found your forever." Her voice shook, but I thought it was from happiness. How could I have known there was something else behind it? The weeks that followed were a blur of laughter, dresses, and dreams. Mia became my shadow, helping me pick out the flowers, tasting endless samples of cake, and spending hours scrolling through Pinterest boards for table settings and wedding themes. It felt like we were living inside a movie montage. Two best friends creating the perfect fairy tale. But every now and then, I'd notice it. A flicker of something strange in her expression when Ethan entered the room. It wasn't jealousy, not exactly. It was something quieter, heavier. Once, I caught her staring at him during dinner, her smile frozen, eyes distant. When she saw me watching, she blinked fast and changed the subject. I told myself it was nothing. After all, she'd always been a little overprotective of me. Maybe she was just scared that I'd get hurt again. Ethan adored me, and Mia was like a sister. What could possibly be wrong? One night, the three of us stayed up late, drinking wine and talking about the future. Ethan had fallen asleep on the couch, his hand still in mine. I remember turning to Mia, expecting her usual teasing remark. Instead, she looked at me with an unreadable expression and whispered, "I hope you never regret this." Her words echoed in my mind long after that night, though I didn't yet know why. It was the first quiet warning, one I ignored completely. It started small, almost invisible. The kind of shift you only notice when you look back and realize how far things had drifted. Mia began dodging Ethan's calls, claiming she was busy or tired. Once, I caught her silencing her phone when his name lit up the screen. "He probably just wants to confirm something about the wedding," she said quickly, tucking her phone into her bag. Her smile didn't quite reach her eyes. Then there were the whispers. I remember walking into the kitchen one evening and hearing them. Low voices, rushed, urgent. They stopped talking the second I appeared. Ethan flashed that practiced grin of his, and Mia laughed nervously. "Just planning something for you," she said. "A surprise." I forced a smile back, but something inside me twisted. Surprises were supposed to make you feel warm, not uneasy. Ethan started working late, claiming he was wrapping up a project before the honeymoon. Sometimes he'd come home smelling faintly of a perfume that wasn't mine, floral and light. I tried to tell myself it was just the office air freshener, or maybe a coworker's scent lingering in the elevator. But deep down, that quiet voice of doubt was already whispering. Mia, too, changed. She began canceling our coffee dates, offering flimsy excuses that never quite made sense. I didn't sleep well, or my mom needed me. When I'd press her for details, she'd grow defensive, almost irritated. This was the same woman who once showed up at my door in pajamas at midnight just to talk about a dream she had. Suddenly, she was a stranger wearing my best friend's face. The breaking point came one night when I needed to check our honeymoon details on Ethan's phone. He was in the shower, humming softly, unaware of the storm brewing on his nightstand. I unlocked his phone. I knew his passcode. We had no secrets, or so I believed. At the top of his messages was a single pin chat. Mia. My pulse quickened. When I opened it, the thread was completely blank. Every message gone. No jokes, no wedding talk, no emojis. Just silence, deleted silence. My hands trembled as I stared at the empty screen. I told myself there had to be an innocent reason, but deep down I knew. This was the beginning of something I wasn't ready to face. I kept telling myself I was imagining things. Every bride gets a little paranoid before the wedding, right? Maybe it was the stress, the endless planning, or the weight of wanting everything to be perfect. But no amount of self-reassurance could quiet the unease growing inside me. It was subtle at first. A feeling, a shift, a shadow in the room whenever the three of us were together. Mia's laughter no longer sounded effortless. It was as though she was performing, forcing the motions of friendship she used to embody so naturally. I'd catch her zoning out mid-conversation, staring into space with her lips pressed tight, like she was holding back words she couldn't say. When I asked if something was wrong, she'd smile too quickly and shake her head. "Just tired," she'd say, but her voice carried a tremor. Ethan wasn't much better. His affection felt different, not less, just heavier. When he held me, it wasn't warmth I felt anymore, but pressure, like he was clinging to me out of guilt rather than love. I'd wake up some nights to find him sitting on the edge of the bed, scrolling through his phone with a look that vanished the moment I stirred. A week before the wedding, I went to our favorite cafe to escape the chaos of final fittings and family calls. The scent of coffee and baked bread used to calm me, but that day it felt suffocating. Then I saw her, Mia, sitting outside, head buried in her hands, shoulders shaking. My heart sank. I rushed to her side. "Mia, what's wrong?" She looked up, eyes red and swollen, mascara streaked down her cheeks. The moment our eyes met, she flinched like I'd caught her doing something unforgivable. "I'm sorry," she whispered. I can't do this." "Can't do what?" I asked, reaching for her hand, but she pulled away. Her gaze darted around nervously, and then, without another word, she stood up and ran. Actually ran, leaving her half-finished coffee on the table. I sat there frozen, her words echoing in my mind. I can't do this. What did she mean? Was she backing out as my maid of honor? Or was it something deeper? That was the last time I saw her before my world shattered completely. The morning of the wedding felt like a dream, one that slowly twisted into a nightmare I couldn't wake from. I remember standing in front of the mirror, veil pinned perfectly, makeup flawless, heart trembling with anticipation. The air was filled with laughter, perfume, and the clinking of glasses. My mother was fussing over the flowers, and my bridesmaids were buzzing around with excitement. But there was one small detail missing. Ethan hadn't texted. At first, I brushed it off. Maybe his phone had died, or maybe he was caught up getting ready with his groomsmen. But as minutes turned into hours, and guests began filling the seats, a strange silence started to spread through the room. My father checked his watch, my cousin whispered to another, and my heart began to race in quiet panic. Then came the phone call. Not from Ethan, but from his best man. His voice was shaky, unsure. He's not here," he said. "He didn't come to the hotel last night." I remember staring at the bouquet in my hands, feeling the petals crush under my tightening grip. The world blurred as whispers erupted around me. I tried calling him. Once, twice, 10 times. Each call went straight to voicemail. My mother kept saying it was just cold feet, that he'd show up, that this kind of thing happens sometimes. But deep down I knew something was horribly, irreversibly wrong. Then I noticed something else. Mia wasn't there either. Her dress still hung untouched in the dressing room, her phone off. The realization hit me so hard I nearly dropped my veil. My best friend and my fiancé, both missing, both silent. Hours later, when the sun began to set and the guests had awkwardly filtered away, I sat alone in my wedding dress, surrounded by half-wilted flowers and untouched food. That's when my phone buzzed with a single message from Ethan. "I'm sorry. You didn't deserve this. No explanation. No goodbye. Just that." For 3 days, I lived in confusion and denial, hoping one of them would call, that there was some misunderstanding. But when I finally found out they'd left the country, together, something inside me broke. The wedding that never happened became the day my life split in two, before the betrayal, and after it. Weeks passed in a haze of disbelief. I barely left my apartment. The once lively space that had been filled with wedding plans and laughter now felt like a tomb of broken promises. I deleted my social media, avoided calls, and drowned in silence. Then, one morning, as I was mindlessly checking my email, I saw it. From Mia. My hands froze. For a long moment, I couldn't breathe. I must have stared at that name for minutes, debating whether to open it or delete it forever. In the end, curiosity, or maybe desperation, won. The email was short, written in her familiar tone but fractured, trembling between guilt and explanation. "You deserve the truth," it began. My eyes blurred as I read each line, feeling my heart twist tighter with every word. She wrote that years before I met Ethan, she had dated someone. Someone who broke her heart in a way she thought she'd never recover from. They had been young, passionate, and destructive. When it ended, he ghosted her completely. She spent months piecing herself back together. So when I first introduced her to Ethan, she never made the connection. The name was common enough, and people change. She said it wasn't until our third dinner together that she finally realized who he was. The same Ethan. By then, she wrote, she didn't know what to do. She claimed she tried to tell me several times but panicked each time, afraid that revealing the truth would destroy our friendship and my relationship. "You looked so happy," she said. "I didn't want to take that from you." But secrets rot when left in the dark. What started as guilt turned into temptation. They spent time together under the guise of wedding preparations, and old memories came rushing back. She said they both convinced themselves it was just closure. Unfinished emotions surfacing, but closure blurred into something else. "It just happened," she wrote, as if betrayal were an accident. She claimed they didn't mean for it to go that far. That Ethan had tried to end it, but by then, the guilt was unbearable. The night before the wedding, they decided they couldn't face me, not together, not separately, so they ran. The final line of her email burned itself into my mind. "I never wanted to hurt you, but I couldn't live with the lie anymore." I read it over and over, searching for something, remorse, honesty, maybe even love. But all I felt was emptiness. I closed my laptop and sat in silence. My best friend had been the keeper of a truth that shattered my world. She didn't just betray me, she rewrote my story without asking. And somewhere out there, she and Ethan were still writing theirs, built on the ruins of mine. It's been a year now. A year since the wedding that never happened. A year since the two people I trusted most vanished without a trace, leaving behind a silence that still echoes through everything I do. I've moved apartments, changed my phone number, even cut my hair. Small acts of rebellion against a version of myself that no longer exists. But no matter how much I change, the memories follow. Sometimes I still see their faces. Ethan's half smile, the one that once made me feel safe. Mia's warm laugh, the sound that used to fill every empty room. Now both haunt me in flashes, fragments of what once felt like home. They're together somewhere, if social media is to be believed. I caught a glimpse once, a picture of them at a seaside cafe holding hands. I told myself I didn't care, but my chest ached in that quiet, familiar way that grief does when it hasn't quite let go. People tell me to forgive. They say forgiveness is freedom. But how do you forgive someone who never asked for it? How do you find closure when the people who broke you never even looked back? I replay every moment in my mind, searching for signs I missed. A glance, a hesitation, a lie disguised as kindness. And the truth is, they were always there. I just didn't want to see them. There are nights when I still dream about that morning. The white dress, the flowers, the hope. I wake up gasping, still half believing I'll hear Ethan's voice or Mia's laughter coming from the kitchen. But all I hear is the hum of the refrigerator and the ticking of a clock that no longer counts down to anything. I used to think silence was emptiness, but now I realize it's full of things left unsaid, apologies never spoken, questions that will never be answered. Maybe they told themselves they were sparing me by running away. Maybe they thought silence was kinder than truth. But silence doesn't heal. It lingers, stretches, and settles deep inside you until it becomes part of who you are. That's their final gift to me. Not closure, not honesty, but silence. A silence I've learned to live with, even when it still hurts to breathe.